Asaf. Hello, world.
Hello.
Hey. All
Hey,
right. Here we
everybody.
are at the great transition. What is the wisdom of Kabbalah? What is the great transition? What are we doing here? We are studying the wisdom of Kabbalah as dealing with the fundamentals behind life. Who are we? Is this the best that humanity can do? I hope not. Why do I feel so empty so often? Is this reality some kind of simulation?
Hmm.
We start to explore this ancient wisdom, and it tells me that there's some forces in the world. Some of the forces I recognize. It tells me that all of creation is a will to receive. I can start to see, okay, I'm receiving, I'm moving, I'm always trying to figure out how to fulfill myself. Some of the other things that I'm learning about in the wisdom of Kabbalah, some of the other forces, they don't make so much sense to me yet. But I'm starting to familiarize myself with what's going on in this system and starting to experiment it with it. That's the study of the wisdom, and simultaneously, I'm in this world, and in this world, there's no shortage of criminals. There's no shortage of murderers and politicians. I don't know if it's okay to put those people in the same sentence, but in short, there's no shortage of crap that we have to deal with in this world. And we're dealing with this very sublime ancient wisdom. Is there some mountaintop or some cave that we're supposed to go to do that, or how do these two worlds come together? The things that I experienced, the loneliness, the virus, the problems, the bills, that we deal with in this world, and all of these sublime things beyond time, space, and motion that the wisdom of Kabbalah is talking about. So that is specifically what we came here to deal with. We have immersed ourselves in the wisdom of Kabbalah for decades, studying, applying, and trying these things out. And we're in a very special time now. The things that have been written about for thousands of years and more are all coming to pass. And we found ourselves, all of us here, in the middle of this movie. This special time is called The Last Generation. How does the wisdom of Kabbalah, what are those writings? How do they apply to what we're going through right now? And for this, we have the Great Transition Show to talk about what we see before our eyes and relate to how it deals with the reality beyond time, space, and motion. Where do these two realities meet? What is the reason for all of this? Nothing is happening by chance, and everything is moving towards the good. So, today we have some very interesting topics. I think it's a perfect stage on which to take those two, that sublime world of endless fulfillment beyond time, space, and motion, and this dreck of crap that we wake up to every day of problems and fighting and loneliness and all of that. So Asaf, thanks for giving me a chance
Yeah.
to open up today. Good to see
Yeah.
you, bro. I'm really excited
That's an
about.
epic, quite an epic opener.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this conversation today. It's very interesting. UBI, and if we can fit it in, we'll even get to legalized weed. How that all kind of we bunched that all in together. UBI is universal basic income. It is something that Obama and Elon Musk and many people are talking about now, or for several years, that people should be given some kind of uh, money, basically, to live off of.
Right.
There's so we have almost 8 billion people on Earth, and about 2 billion of them today live. So we can maybe even get closer to maybe something that relates to our world, our lives. People who have internet and who are found this show. But let's just paint a very big picture at first. There's
Mm-hmm.
2 billion people on the planet living on less than $2 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those people don't have electricity, don't have running water, um, to wash clothes, and then you have a few more billion who actually have some electricity, another couple billion, I think 3 or 4 more billion that actually have electricity, maybe still not running water though. So, for example, uh, you take a country like the United States,
Mm-hmm.
or a country like Sweden or something like that. Before, just like some modern country with a developed economy, you'd call it a first world country. Before there was a washing machine, typically women, almost always, would fetch water and maybe heat water. I know in India, for example, clothes are washed by probably half of those 2 billion are
Mm-hmm.
washed in rivers. Chris, if you have some pictures of that, you can show it. So this is how a lot of people are washing their clothes. There you go. So it's a process that takes hours and hours every week. And there you go.
Yeah.
So this is going on all around the world now. So what happens is when you get a washing machine, all of a sudden you get more literacy, you get more education. People have basically what happens is there's many machines we have in our lives, but something like that, when you start to add um, different machines into our life, it gives us more time, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what
we delegate some of the stuff we do to machines, like a washing machine in this case, and that in turn frees us to do other things. Yeah, sure. So we
okay,
can we can
on
see
the
that throughout history. Yeah.
on the far end of the spectrum, so you have those 2 billion on one side with no running water, no electricity, more or less. On the other side, there is, say, 1 billion who have those things, who have running water, who have electricity, and all that. And on the far end of that, there's people who could spend $1 million a day on whatever they want for the rest of their lives and never run out of money. Could you imagine spending a
Right.
million dollars a day
Right.
every single day for the rest of your life? And
Hmm.
I think there is 1,000 million in a billion. So if you had $1 billion, you could spend a million a day for
uh,
3+ years. If you had
yeah.
2 billion, you could spend a million a day for um, 6 years, etc.
Oh,
So if you have a
okay.
100 billion, you could
Yeah,
you
no,
could do a lot.
it's
So
insane. Listen, if you're into inequality stats, here's a quick aside, right? Here's a quick thing I just stumbled upon. So there's this report from Oxfam International, which is some group of people. Some of them are researchers. They're into like looking into poverty, things like that. Anyway, they found that from March to December 2020, the 10 richest people in the world, so all of the world, those 8 billion people, the ten people who are the most rich, right? They increased their wealth by almost $4 trillion. $1 trillion, that's with a T, right? So this, in 10 months, 10 people increased their wealth by almost $4 trillion. This, just that increase alone in 2020, they say, this report says, could pay for vaccinating all people and lifting them out of poverty. And at the same time, in those 10 months, while those 10 richest people in the world gained four more $1 trillion, there's 200 to 500 million people that fell into poverty in 2020. So just we live in an obscene situation in terms of the pyramid and the inequality, but it's just not as evident as inequality used to be maybe in the past. We don't see it in front of our faces. But anyway, that's an aside. But it's just the
so
numbers are just
a
mind
hundred
boggling. Yeah.
100% of the people who 100% of car crashes involve cars, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to even figure out, was it from drunk driving? Was it from someone was blinded by the sun? Was it from texting? But if we eliminate cars, then we wouldn't have any more car accidents, right? So
Mm.
every time there is, that's an example, every time there is income inequality, it leads to crime. We don't have to get into why it
Yeah,
happens, whether it's
sure.
because the sun got in their eyes or from
Yeah.
texting or whatever.
Yeah, just the
We just
statistics.
know
Yeah, the statistics
that
say it
when
clearly.
there
Yeah.
is more inequality, crime goes up.
Yeah.
So if we want to decrease crime, we can decrease inequality. That's a whole other situation,
Yeah.
but they're completely um, correlated.
Oh, you bring up
Uh,
now a bunch of things that I read in terms of research about inequality, but I'm assuming we don't want to delve into that whole. It's a whole can of worms
let's
now if
just
we go
spin
into
that
that.
plate, you know,
Okay.
and if it's
All right.
relevant, let's come back to it.
Okay.
There's so that's huge inequality. Now there's another phenomenon simultaneously. So you just said in the last year, these top 10 people have amassed some trillions of dollars, and
Yeah.
on the other side, a half a billion. How many went into poverty?
Yeah.
500
Almost
million
half a billion. Yeah. From 200 to
fell
500
into
million. Yeah.
poverty. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, simultaneously, especially I know I see what's happening here in the United States. I'm sure it's happening in other countries as well on university campuses and through legislation, trying to make everyone equal. Okay.
Okay.
Trying to make, okay. So no difference between men and women, all this kind of thing, trying to make everyone equal. The
Okay.
problem, the problem that, so on the one hand, we were talking about inequality, right?
Right.
On the other
Well,
hand,
economic inequality. And
economic
you're
inequality, let's say. I just want to talk general at first, and then we're going
okay.
to find out where we want to dive in. Um, on the other hand, we have this movement to make everybody equal. You know, equal. We want to hire the equal number of each race. We want to hire the equal number of each gender. If a if a sports team loses, we want to give everyone a medal, whether or not, you know, like everything just becomes make everyone feel equal. So what happens in that situation? Inequalities on one side, and then this equality, this kind of imposed equality on the other side is like what you see in communism, where if people are not awarded for doing well, and if they're not punished for doing bad, then productivity comes to a grinding halt. There's no
Hmm.
innovation, or almost no innovation, and almost no productivity in society. So those are the two poles we're looking at. You know, just make everyone equal, and humanity's productivity stops. On the
Okay.
other hand, allow things to go as they are now, and you have more and more inequality, not equal, which causes crime and, well, just many other socioeconomic, psychological, emotional problems. So we want to talk about UBI now, uh, universal basic income, meaning
Yeah.
the concept of giving people money. And why is this even coming up? Well, because if if a truck driver can only drive a certain amount of hours a day, okay, and now you're going to have some AI truck, artificial intelligence truck
Right.
without a driver in it. He doesn't need to sleep. He doesn't need to refuel for gas, just put more gas in there, or batteries or solar panels on top. He doesn't need to stop. He doesn't need to go to the bathroom. He doesn't need to go see his family. He can just, that truck can just drive 24 out, 24
So when
7.
you say he, you mean it, like the
He
robot,
or
right?
she,
Or the
yeah,
auto, the.
right. A truck driver is not needed anymore.
Hmm.
You can just have a robot truck
Right.
drive. Um, Robot truck knows when it needs service. It just pulls off the road. There could be a lane on the highway in our near future that's just robot trucks, like a train. It just pulls on and goes, and when it needs
Hmm.
to, it pulls off, and they're just always moving at, say, 100 miles an hour back and
Yeah, if
forth
it's in the future,
down the
I'd say
highway.
one lane for humans who are still driving for some reason, and then most and all the other lanes for autonomous vehicles. Yeah, most
Okay, so
likely.
once that truck with no driver gets to its warehouse, just like the Amazon warehouses, some machine that will never hurt his back or her back will unload the truck 24/7, lights on, lights off, that he doesn't care. Everything's run through the software. And now you have millions of people out of work, truck drivers and warehouse workers. And then those truck drivers and warehouse workers, they lived in a certain town. And in that town, there was a grocery store. Well, if those truck drivers don't have money to go shopping in the grocery store, so then those grocery stores aren't there anymore, and etc. It just keeps rippling out, rippling out. Now that's just truck driving,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that
Yeah.
is clear that that industry will go away soon, with humans driving them, because it's all becoming automated. It's just cheaper, and that's there. In the pharmacy in my town, there's 4 checkout registers. You can buy sunglasses, water, chapstick, stuff for your lip, any band-aids. It's all self-checkout. There's one register there for people, who need to talk to somebody, but in
Yeah.
general, 4 lanes, it's all self-checkout. So you don't need employees there. In a sense, what we're seeing is that more and more labor jobs are going to disappear. So if labor jobs are going to disappear and people are going to be out of work, um, and from COVID, for example, people are out of work. So what do we do with all of these people out of work? Um, what
Yeah.
is the future of work? Should we just pay people when they're not working? Should we come up with other jobs? Should everybody be a computer programmer?
Hmm.
Um, so a lot of questions. And what I'd like to do now is see, how is this related to what the wisdom of Kabbalah says about life?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
going
For sure.
on as far as the trajectory of humanity, and how is this in any way related to a spiritual reality beyond
Mm-hmm.
time, space, and motion, a world of endless fulfillment? What do these two things have to do with each other? Why do we see this happening? Should we go back to primarily women washing their clothes in a bucket, or should we move forward to robots doing all the labor, and then what? What is what where is all this on the?
Oh, I thought Chris was gonna show robots doing laundry, but
Okay, check it out. So this robot's never going to get a bad back. Yep.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Right.
pretty incredible.
Okay, okay. I think UBI, Universal Basic Income, the fact that that we are now having this question on the table. This is an emerging debate now in many countries. There's been some pilots, some experiments throughout the world, not that many. It's a new topic. Everyone's talking about it. It's a big deal. But really, from a Kabbalistic perspective, I'd say this is just one piece of the puzzle. We are facing a complete revolution of the current social order. This is what's happening right now in our time, definitely in this century, in this generation. And I would say, um, within the next 2 decades, we're probably gonna see huge changes already beginning to happen. This means that since the Industrial Revolution, let's say, we've never ran into something as big of a change as what we're the transition that we're entering right now. First of all, just to pay off this to sell this argument about the development of automation and AI and all that a little bit, just to kind of give a perspective. If you think about it, about 1,000 years ago, the world, what you started by talking a lot about electricity and the places who don't have electricity. About 1,000 years ago, no one in the world had electricity. There was very little science, and that's 1,000 years ago. 100 years ago, you have the Wright brothers, right? With something like the first flight. You have Ford with the first consumer vehicle, the first automobile that is like an affordable car. Then, if you think about it, like 15 years ago, maybe, YouTube didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist, right? 5 years ago, the Google's AI beats a human player at Go. Go is this like a Chinese, I believe, game that has more options than like the numbers of atoms in the universe. So all look at 1,000 years and look at the last 100 years and look at the last 20 years and look at the last 5 years. The pace of progress itself is accelerating. That's something that is counterintuitive to us. Exponential progress is counterintuitive to us. And so, um, of course, there are people who would say, yeah, we've had horses, now we have cars, now we have jobs for people with cars, so we won't have cars, we'll have robot trucks, so, and then we'll have something else that people will do. Right, but what happens when the pace of automation and the pace of artificial intelligence and the pace of virtual reality and all of these emerging, developing technologies outpaces our needs for production and for industry and so on? Then what happens is that we're going to run into a very interesting paradox, because with this exponential growth of technology come two things. One is what we talked about now, technological unemployment, so to speak, meaning the fact that people are losing their jobs. There's no more need, less need, much less need for human labor. But there's another thing that's happening, and that has to do with all of those poverty and inequality situations that we talked about a couple of minutes ago. With less jobs, with the exponential growth of technology that reduces the need for human labor, what also happens is that we have a greater capacity, an exponentially increasing capacity to produce abundance, meaning to clothe and house and feed and give everyone everything they need. At least, I'm saying at least, the
So
very basic necessities.
less people are working. There's like a direct relation between the amount of people, well, less people are working, let's say, and we have and it's more easy to produce goods and services.
Yes, yes. These two things together are telling you exactly less jobs, less human need for human labor, and more abundance. They come together. There's two faces of the same trend. So that tells
Okay,
you,
let me
yeah,
yeah, go ahead, tell me.
that a disruption in the current social order, in the current concept of society, in the current ethos of human society is inevitable. That's where we're going. And it's going to happen much faster than we realize, because this progress is exponential. It's not
Here's
a
my
little bit
question.
more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, go ahead.
Based on what you're laying out, okay, so there was a time where if I needed food, I would kill an animal and I would eat it. It was like a 1-to-1 ratio, like I need clothes. So, you know, imagine what people smelled like a few hundred years ago or thousands of years ago. Maybe not
Well,
so bad because they didn't have so much crap, but could you imagine like,
the
you know,
I remember there was some professor in university that told us, yeah, he was into that anyway, into
because animals
researching
don't
like
smell
how
in
how
general.
people.
Animals don't smell so much.
Yeah, we can go into a whole tangent here on the smell of animals versus that of humans, but one way or another, they had definitely had health issues. Like their teeth were in a much worse condition. And a bunch of things like that. But they also had other standards and other
No, but I mean, like a
values.
wolf. A wolf has
Yeah.
pretty good teeth and he doesn't stink. You don't like walk through the
Mm-hmm.
forest and you're like, oh my God. But if you had a person who didn't shower for like a few months, it'd be a real mess. Anyway, the point is that there was a one to
we.
one kind of
Yeah.
ratio before. You need clothes. So
Mm-hmm.
you kill an animal and you put a skin on you,
Mm-hmm.
or you weave a dress made out of grass and you wrap it around, or
Mm-hmm.
you need to eat something, you get a mango. Um, and now, of course, we're very, very far from that. But the question is, what is work? Like, why, if
Yeah.
machines can do everything, why do I need, first of all, 8 hours? Who made that crap up, right? But
So,
why do if I can,
all
if
of these
everything,
things, all of these things are going to come into question now. This is why I'm saying UBI is just one piece of the puzzle. The whole game, the whole concept, the current concept that's been running for the last 150 years or something, uh, is coming into a grinding halt. It's coming into we're now being, we're what's UBI? What Just think about it. Think about it philosophically for a second, right? We're basically asking, we were working, working, working. We taught our kids that we need to work, work, work. We built schools and educational facilities. The whole educational system, public education, was invented as a result of the Industrial Revolution to make workers, to produce workers, right? We created this whole infrastructure of human society based on the idea that people need to work 70 or 80% of their time. That's how they make a living. Later on, that's how they define themselves. That becomes a big portion of their identity. And now we're asking, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we should just give them the money they need to. So we are questioning here the whole modus operandi of society. That's what that and that means we have to
Suppose
understand. Yeah.
say that some great musician, he'll continue to be a musician, and say some brain surgeon will continue to be a brain surgeon. And of
Mm,
course, you'll need lawyers, and they'll do whatever those guys do. But maybe professional soccer players, I don't know, some teachers, but everyone who's doing labor jobs, for example, if robots can do it better, dig a hole,
hmm.
um,
Yeah.
load a truck, check you out at the grocery store, flip your hamburger, right? If
Yeah.
all of that goes away
Hmm.
and you just give people money, what what is the purpose of the human being, I guess? What do
Yes.
I do with my life? If I'm not a
Ooh.
slave anymore to the traffic light, what is the meaning of, ooh, if I'm not a slave to the traffic light, because that gave me meaning in my life before, then what is the meaning of my life?
Yeah, yeah. This is really the question that we're coming to, huh? It may, it may not be so apparent when you first start talking about UBI, about basic income, but go a little bit down the wormhole, and then you go like, yeah, what are people gonna do 70-80% of their time? What are they gonna fill their day with? What is the purpose of human life on planet Earth? That, again, basically, you're coming to that. That's exactly what I was kind of getting at. That we're facing a much bigger question here. It's not about will a universal basic income thing work or not. It's the foundation of human life in human society in this global era that we're in. Now we need to answer this. What are humans supposed to do? We got to ask ourselves deeper questions. It's not what are we going to do with the people? You know what I mean? I'm saying the question needs to be a lot more fundamental, a lot more groundbreaking. We need to ask ourselves, what should we be doing? What is it that we want to do? And maybe even, what is it that we're supposed to be doing? If you
Can
think
you hold on?
about,
Can you
yeah,
ask those questions without making me feel like I'm a kid who did something wrong? What you should be, you're supposed to
no,
like.
I'm saying
Look,
supposed to
talk
be
to me about
doing,
it
or
more in terms
yeah,
of the structure of reality, not like
that's, you're
supposed to, because
absolutely right.
what could I have done? I was born,
Yeah,
and then everyone took care of me. My parents and everyone took care of me. And then I got to a certain age, and then I was like out in the world on my own. I had to figure out how to pay bills. I had kids,
yeah.
I had a mortgage. I had, what do you mean I should? Of course, I don't know the choice. There's no should or
Okay, when
shouldn't.
yeah,
So put
I,
it into focus here.
absolutely right. When I say what we should be doing or what we're supposed to be doing, I don't mean that in a preachy way. I mean that we live in a natural system. We are subject to the laws of the natural world, and we are evolving as a species. And so, if our evolution leads us to the point that we are now able to delegate most of what we need to do to machines that will serve us, and global networks of trade, of distribution, and so on, whatever it is, to care for our own needs. I'm saying that this is an evolutionary process predetermined, embedded in the laws of nature. The human is being pushed by nature to come to the point where most of our time can be free to engage in something. Nature's doing this for a reason. Just like, we can, when you look in hindsight, every evolutionary process had a reason. Every state in evolution had some conditions that led to it. That's how I'm looking at it. It's not from an ethics perspective on, what should we be doing. It's let me phrase it like this: where is nature pushing mankind? What is it pushing us to do? Think about the evolution. Think about what humans have been doing for the whatever three how many years do Homo sapiens exist?
Like
250,
200,000, I think. Yeah.
200,000,
Something like
250,000.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so for all of that time, what have we been doing here on the planet, right?
No,
What have we been doing?
it's been mostly a one to one. I need to eat, I
Yeah,
kill an animal, or I need to eat, I get a mango. I need a piece
right.
of clothes, I make a piece of clothes. It was like a very one
For a
to one
long time.
relationship for
For
a
a
really
long, long,
long
long,
time.
for a really long time. And then within just a couple hundred years, again, exponential development, within a couple hundred years, we have started to quickly change the concept of human work, of human labor. So we started from hunting our food and gathering our foods, and we were hunters and gatherers for thousands of years or whatever. Then agricultural revolution, and we start doing some physical work, manual labor, but with our hands and legs, but some tending to our machines a little bit. And then we are now, and today we're in an age where we're working on computers. Most of the people in the world are working on a computer. Your work is to do what you do through this machine, right? That enhances and extends your capacity to communicate, to create, to produce, to design, and so on. And so work has changed dramatically from working with our bodies, with our hands and legs for our direct survival, to working more and more with our minds for the fulfillment of human desires. And
Let
so
me
we,
let me add one
yeah,
more piece to this though.
go.
Okay? People are so lonely now. Okay? So everyone's working from computers, for example, right?
Yeah.
But working for what? You know what I mean? Like at first it was like working because we needed buildings and we needed air conditioners and we needed refrigerators and we needed computers, and now everyone has them.
Hmm.
So now what are we working for? Like why? Like what happens when we come to a point where people don't even need all the crap anymore? So they don't even need to be working on the computers so much.
So
It's like
we're gonna need a new goal. This is exactly what we're getting at here. This whole UBI question that we started from led us to the point that we started asking, what's the purpose of human life on this planet? And now, in order to actually answer it, we have to start exploring what is our goal in this, what is our function in the natural system. That's where it's taking us. It's it, too early. You
no,
you
no,
with
bring it
me?
on, bring it on.
The
I'm
um
trying to look at the chats also. So if you lose my eye contact, it's not because you lost my interest.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
see
No,
what's
no,
going on over
and
there.
maybe we should. Hey, maybe there are some. I mean, we're going in on our own kind of uh, wormhole here, but maybe there are some questions here that we should be looking into. So, do you want
Uh,
to stop and
I
go there, or
mostly see really cool people enjoying each other's company, but I don't see I didn't see too many
I
questions for us yet.
I think I glimpsed at some question marks here and there. Okay.
Okay, but let me just say though, I see that the unknown sage is here from Tokyo. Wow, hey man or woman,
Hey,
hello,
what's up, Tokyo?
and or whoever, whatever kind of being you are, and Imam Pamunji from West Java, Indonesia. So And of course, hello to
Wow.
Sarah and Noah and Kevin and Andrea and Sharon and Spencer and Mancini and all the people we know and Slightly Slanted and all of our friends that we
And
always see it, and Isabel in Brooklyn. Hey, everybody.
yeah.
Satria. Okay, and Timothy. Okay, great. So I don't see any questions yet, Asaf. So keep going. Keep
Okay.
flying.
We okay, so we're coming to a point where let's say that this UBI thing becomes inevitable. Let's say that people have not that much work to do anymore because we can delegate what what otherwise would go to human labor. We delegate that to artificial intelligence and machines and automations and so forth. What are human beings supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with this free time? So first thing, I'll let's look at it on two levels. First level, who said we need to work 10 hours a day? That's the first question that we can start asking ourselves. Who said that this is what a human being needs to do? That you need to put 70 or 80% of your time, of your life, into working to secure your necessities. How about working just a few hours a day? If that's doable, if we can arrange for that and you get everything you need, I wouldn't say that the human being was born to work 10 hours a day. That is something that also came together with our modern life. I don't think that hunter-gatherer societies worked 10 hours a day even. I think there's some
But
research and
I want to know
speculation.
from a spiritual perspective, what is a human
Right.
being? What
But
is
yeah, okay. So I said two levels. That's the first level. That is to take care of our body, meaning a few hours a day, maybe even 2 hours a day, 3, 4 hours a day, you can still work doing something in some sort of a constellation where that secures what you need for your body. But beyond your
for your
body,
animal existence?
yes, for the animate level of our existence. But then there is the human level. Then there is this whole different level of experience that we haven't even started learning how to fulfill. We as human beings, and now I'm going
Oh,
hardcore Kabbalistic here, we we have a potential. We have a unique potential. Only us, this created beings that we call human beings, we have a potential to develop a new kind of sense. And it requires, guess what? It requires work and focus and effort and energy. And that is the kind of work that only human beings can do. Now, if we look at the
hold on a sec. Hold
evolution
on a
of,
sec.
yeah,
Hold on. Just define what is a human being, because
sure.
you're talking about this creature called a human, which is a spiritual creature. And I think
Hmm,
that it's in common parlance, I think we call
right.
all of the animals wearing clothes outside human beings, but you're talking about a spiritual concept of a human.
The human is the most evolved level of desire in nature.
So
All
all
of
of the
nature,
animals
all of
outside
nature.
wearing clothing is not called a human, according to what you're saying, or yes?
Well, let's look at all of reality as four levels. That's how Kabbalah defines reality, right?
Okay.
Four levels of desire: still, vegetative, animate, human. Now, the still, all the rocks and planets and minerals that you see in the world, deep down into matter. We're not going to go into this whole kind of physics tangent here and with material and non-material substance, but at the root of it, at the core of it, lies a certain basic desire, Kabbalah explains. This is called the still level. It's just a desire to preserve itself. Then there's a more advanced level of desire that begets the vegetative level, and then the animate level, and then there is an even more complex, more advanced desire that exists called the human level. Each new level consists of all the previous levels. So within us, you can find still and vegetative and animate levels of desire. We have cells that are working. You have your nails, you have your hair, you have your whole biological body. All of those are related to still vegetative and animate levels that exist within us. But the more we advance in human evolution, we are starting to differentiate and focus on our human level of existence.
So an
This
animal
level
eats
is
and
a
is satisfied,
yeah,
and a human is never satisfied. That's maybe we
because
could
there
draw the
is a
line there.
level because there is a level of human experience that we need to learn how to explore, how to open it up, and how to fulfill it. Exactly, how to fulfill that. So far, until our time, only a few people since the last 6,000 years have learned how to actually focus on the human level, develop it, and begin to receive spiritual fulfillment,
Is this where
non-material
legalized weed comes
fulfillment.
in? Now everybody.
No, the
No,
the
okay,
that's it's another tangent. Maybe we'll leave that
okay.
for later. But um, where were we? So okay, so okay,
We're saying there's unfulfilled. Yeah, okay.
I'll try to condense what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: there is um, there is a level of desire unique to human beings, a desire within us that demands a new kind of fulfillment. It's not physical. It's non-material. It is a desire that we feel. Every human being feels it, more or less aware of it, more or less at a greater or lower intensity, but it exists. If you're a human being, you have deep down, you have some desire for this unknown spiritual craving, spiritual
If you're an
fulfillment.
animal with clothing on, then already inside of you there is some
Yes,
desire called a human desire that's awakening.
exactly. But
Okay.
for the most part of human evolution, right? We said this animal called human started evolving 250,000 years ago, let's say. So for the most part, we haven't been in touch with that desire. That desire begins to evolve consciously in people, meaning it begins to surface, it begins to show itself, and then people actually begin to think about it and explore it and try to fulfill it about 5,780 years ago, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. From that moment, a few people began to feel that they were kind of feeling like, hey, you know what? We're not just animals. We're not just a body. There's something there's a desire within us that demands to be fulfilled with the source of existence, to be connected to the source from which all pleasure comes from, to be somehow fulfilled beyond the body. That desire began to evolve in humanity about 5,780 years ago. Today, we're coming to a point and where we're asking about UBI and what should we be working on? What is the future of work? Machines are going to take our work. What are we going to do? How are we going to spend all our time? What we're not seeing is that nature, this process of evolution, is now pushing all of human beings, all of mankind, this whole species into a new level of experience, into a new level of awareness, where we also have the time and the right conditions to begin to explore and spend most of our time and energy and efforts exploring what is the level of human desire that requires spiritual, non material fulfillment, and how do we access it? How do we tap into it? That's going to become the basis, the foundation of work in the future. I realize it sounds
That
very,
it
very
sounds
weird,
you're blowing my
but
mind. So
for
so
but
Debbie Brady asks, is our collective work as humans to work at being spiritual beings?
exactly, Exactly. We this is all very new. This is all very new to us, right? We are the people listening to this show and getting this idea, I would say, are like pioneers. This is literally, we are, it's the greatest time to be alive, I would say. We are witnessing, we are experiencing and consciously participating in our own evolution in the making. Um what was the question?
We're like
I got
she,
excited
Debbie said
with the
is Debbie
response.
Brady said, is our work as humans to work at being spiritual beings.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And think about it, Debbie. We at first we worked on hunting mammoths to have something to eat, building a cave. That was our job for a long, long time. Then, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. We became designers and copywriters and marketers and who knows what. And now AI is gonna take over this and the services sector and all those things. And gradually our work is becoming more subtle, more and more related to what only we can do, to what only the human function within us is. We are what happens throughout human evolution is that we are gradually sifting through all the stuff that we do in order to finally find what it is that we actually should be doing. And what it is a conscious participation in our own evolution, becoming aware of our spiritual existence. More specifically, we're going to work on connecting to the network that binds all of nature, and we're going to do that by working with each other.
So hold on a sec.
Okay, okay.
You're talking. Yeah. So hold on a sec. You're talking about something that will take some time, possibly a few generations, to grandparents, parents, kids, or something, until we're living in this spiritual reality, because we have to perceive. You can't be born and be raised with just consumerism, and then just transition right into a spiritual reality. We need to recalibrate ourselves. This process of UBI is really a revealed beginning of this process. Really, the beginning of the process is mostly almost like economical, that where everyone on earth begins to behave as a family. Like in the past, I was responsible, maybe after 200,000 years, but I was responsible for my cave and my cave wife and my couple cave kids. And then eventually after that, I was responsible for my little cave village, and then my cave county. And then, you have a town, a whole country with borders and military and whatever. But we get to a point where the entire world becomes like that first village, like that first family, where each and every person is concerned for the well-being of each and every other person at first. Does everybody have food? Does everybody have because there's plenty of everything. Everyone, there's plenty of everything. So does everyone have food? Right? Why are we Everyone knows wars are bad. Why are we constantly engaging in fighting with each other all the time? Why? Why are we constantly polluting all of our water and polluting all of our land? Why? We know it's bad. We know it's bad for us. We know it's bad for our kids. So we're going to first go through this process of UBI that's happening, some kind of economic change, where does everyone have food? Does everyone have a safe place to live? Is everyone getting some kind of education at home? And then once we stabilize ourselves, which is very close, it's coming very close to us now. This whole process. Once we stabilize humanity in this, is media telling us that all the girls are going to be bitches and whores and all the guys are going to be drug dealers? Is that the media that's going to take us to spirituality? No. So the songs will change slowly. And excuse my language, that is the language of all of the music that's in the
Right.
radio. So when the media starts to change, and the things we listen to and how we start to talk to each other, and then when everyone has, once that structure set, I just wanted to intro what you were saying, because you
No,
took
no, no,
us
no.
from
Okay.
this kind of depressing life into like this reality beyond time,
And
space, and
you
motion. I
want
just wanted to kind of
we missed
bridge
the transition, basically, is what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. This
the great
the
transition, by the way.
is the only thing we missed is just the great transition. The yeah, the great transition is this period that we've entered now, where we're just in the very beginning of it. Right, where suddenly this is why, I'm excited about how, we bring up this topic of UBI, like, oh, this is like a new policy. It's not a new policy. It's this like a, how would you say, like an infiltrator, when someone like it's like an
Yeah.
infiltrator from a different world into our world, in a way. It's like all of a sudden this question crops up. Ooh, maybe we should change everything. This is what we're facing right now. And so the great transition is this period of time where we gradually begin to educate ourselves, to train ourselves, to start understanding where we are, what this evolution has brought us to, what is the integral nature of the world that we are in, what is that package of human nature that we were born with, that we really gotta have to start learning about. And then, step by step, bit by bit, the moment that we will change the incentive of the economic system, um, is, I think that goes hand in hand with the need to re-educate ourselves, so to speak, to retrain ourselves about what it means to be humans in this world. There's Chris, can you pull up a quote from Dr. Michael Lightman? Because what Seth was saying was just, right. This quote is right on the money with regards to what Seth just said. Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, this one. Okay. So here is something Kabbalist Michael Lightman said. I think this is like very recent, from one of his recent posts. So it goes like this: in the new world, no one will sit still until everyone is safe and cared for. Just as the whole body has no rest and no peace of mind unless all of its organs are well, so we will feel about every person in the world, that all are parts of me, and I cannot be at peace if everyone is not at peace. This is the new vision, the new goal, the new understanding, the new mindset that people are going to have to develop. This has to also, this will be also a result of this huge interdependence, this very tight global interdependence that we're getting into. Ushered in by COVID, ushered in by ecological threats, by a very fragile financial system. All of those are going to push us to the point where, you know what? We can feed everyone and clothe everyone and house everyone and give everyone medicine. We have the technology to create potential abundance. It makes a lot more sense to give people what they need instead of having them fight each other and everyone for their survival in a world where human labor becomes obsolete. All of those things are converging right now. And the change of consciousness is where it all is, what it all comes to. So
Can
this is the
you
great transition. Yeah.
Julie Dehan asks two questions, but I want to. So first, let me say the question. She says, "Please describe what the work is." I think she's
Right.
describing, what is that spiritual work that I think Debbie Brady was asking about? What is the pleasure? What is the goal? What's the reward? But I'm going to ask you to say it, uh, not in a one-liner, like, say it in a way that I can understand what you're talking about. Like, what is that word? I mean, I guess, how can we even describe it? Because it's not like it's like people who are looking for aliens, and they're thinking that the alien is gonna, appear as like some thing that we can perceive in a three-dimensional reality. But if you could perceive something outside of a three-dimensional reality, so you'd probably see all kind of, for sure you'd see all kind of forces out there. So if we want to talk about, what is the work going to be in the spiritual reality,
Hmm.
it's hard. I guess that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I'm trying to kind of report the answer before the answer. It's hard to, what am I going to do with my flesh, my protein? And you were talking about a spiritual goal. It's hard to come to that. It's hard to answer that.
Yeah, I would say that to be honest, I don't know. I don't know exactly how it will unfold. It's that simple. We are looking at evolving to a next stage that hasn't happened before. But there are some trends that you can kind of get a feel for. The All of the occupations that we currently have, it's in the first stages of this transition, it's not necessarily that they have to go. It's very possible that we will change our incentive, our intention, and use a lot of the things that we and the occupations and professions that we're using today, but in a new way. Like, for instance, why shouldn't people do art or create media or be producers? And if you make a film, then you need a director and a scriptwriter and actors and someone who's going to work on sound and someone's going to work on video and someone is going to edit it and people to promote it and market it, explain to the public what it is, and then maybe someone who will set up a site for it, and so all already, just from making a film, you can involve hundreds of people, right? Depending on the size of the production, right? Now the question is, what kind of training, what kind of education, what kind of mindset, what kind of intention are all these people working with? And as a result, what will be the product that they will produce? So it's very possible that some of the things will be very similar, but the what we're going to try to produce is something that is with a new incentive. We got to understand that there is, you know, again, to employ Marshall McLuhan's great quote, the last thing the fish notices in its environment is the water, right? We are currently surrounded by waters of a dog eat dog world where you have to get money for survival, you have to compete with others. There's all of this advertising, that constantly brainwashes us more and more and more. And so an artist today can't even be an artist, and they're already influenced by so many factors that come from a certain incentive of the whole system, and so the art itself becomes polluted with these other incentives and other calculations, like I need to make money, I need to survive. Oh, everything is becoming more violent. I need to make something violent as well. It's becoming more sexual. I need to make something with more sex in it as well. So we don't even see this whole process. We have to, and so that's why it's very hard to say
Let's
how
also
we're
say
gonna. Yeah.
sex, jokes, comedy, even struggle, and there's nothing wrong with any of these things. They
No,
fit in the
no,
whole
no. They're
picture.
gonna.
But just
The, yeah.
what is the frame in which, imagine every movie, all these songs, you still have the yearning, you still have the issues, you still have the lusts, you still have all these things, but it's within a frame that elevates humanity. And slowly, when the kids are raised with all of that kind of media, and that's what's going on in the home, and from one generation to the next generation, until that's just how everyone is raised, now we literally start to perceive another reality, which is here right now. Like the fish, the last thing he feels is the water. We're literally in a reality with all kinds of things happening here right now that we don't see, we don't hear, we don't taste. There's all kind of phenomenon that are here right now, but because of our how dull our
Our
perception is
senses
to
are,
them,
yeah, exactly.
we don't perceive what reality we're living in.
Yeah, I want to maybe in the, in the minute we have left or so, to try to address the second part of Julie's question. So what's the, because that maybe will complete the picture. What's the pleasure, right? What's the goal? What's the reward? What's the fulfillment? And that really is the main thing. This is what we're going to be working towards, a completely different goal. See, if the modern person of the 21st century is thinking, my goal of working, I am working in order to get money, so then I can pay my bills, and then I can have a family and feed them as well, and then I can have running water and electricity, and so on. And basically, the more I get, the bigger the house I can have, the bigger the car I can have, and that's basically kind of like what we see the goal of work is. That is completely going to change, because we're going to see our efforts, our labor, our work in connecting to the network that binds all human beings together and all of nature, and the reward is a sensation, a fulfillment that comes from the eternity of nature, that comes from the perfection and bliss and harmony that pervades all of nature, all of life. We are connecting by balancing human society and connecting with each other, doing this conscious work of connecting to each other and positively balancing the whole system. Every human being works to become like a healthy cell in the body of humanity, and by that we bring all of humanity into balance with the surrounding law of nature, of the general law of homeostasis, the general law of equivalence of form, as Kabbalists call it. And so the pleasure we'll begin to feel, the feedback we'll begin to feel, the fulfillment is going to come to us through the mechanism of nature itself. We're going to become, to receive, to fulfill that spiritual void that was always there, that was developing for the last 5,780 years. That's what we're going to be working for. And that's what it's about. That's the future of work. That's the future of reward or payment or whatever. That's the kind of thing that we're going towards. So, spiritual revolution is on its way. Yeah, it could get tougher before it gets better. Let's be real here. But I think things are going to happen just like with COVID, where in a few days the whole world is changing. We're going to see these things happening, and things are going to happen a lot faster than we can digest, and because of the exponential nature of our evolution. It's going to be a ride, and luckily we have each other. Do we also have a song, man? How do we conclude this?
That was incredible, Asaf. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody,
Yeah.
for being here with us. Patty, our hearts go out to you. I see Patty had a loss in the family. Thank you, Julie, and Slightly Slanted, and K123, and Emmy, and everyone who joined us today. Debbie and Siegfried, and everyone. So great to be here. We'll see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. A big hug. We will go transition together. A great transition.
We have another hope, and I'm so far away. We all know there is just one love.